Okay, we are going to pick up where we left off in Principles of Learning, which is the fourth slide, third slide after the title slide. One of the things that your book describes very, very well is that learning is a process. On, let's see, page 45, you see a very good example of the learning process, where you start off with your expectations, your apprehending, where you perceive what's going on, acquisition, where you kind of store all of the knowledge that you're getting, retention, to see how well you hold on to what you learned, recall, being able to recall those facts, whatever it is that you're learning whenever you need it, then to transfer it, where you will take what you learn and transfer that knowledge maybe into some other field that seems to be totally unrelated, but yet you can use that foundation to build on something new. Your performance, how well you can perform using the knowledge that you have gained. And then finally, feedback, basically talking about the reinforcement of learning, being able to, how can I say it, just be able to keep building on what you've got, reinforcing it, so that it becomes second nature to you. But 45's got a really nice description of learning as a process, and so take a look at that. Second point here, styles and rates of learning will vary. You better believe it. Everybody is different. Everybody learns at a different rate. You got 20 students in your classroom, you got 20 different learning styles, and so it's individualized to each person. And in general, you have some learners that are intuitive, where they can kind of learn on their own. They can put facts and figures together to come up with some conclusions. Others are incremental learners, where they learn by getting little bits and pieces and then putting them together, kind of like the old game called Pac-Man. Every one of these students bites off a little bit of the lesson, and slowly but surely they get what they need to learn in small bits. From my experience in the technical college system, this was one of the, I think, the great things about the old way we used to do things, because all of our programs were sort of competency based, where you just laid out the competencies from A to Z and put them in a logical sequential order, what we call the scope and sequence of the course, and those students learned what they had to learn before they were able to move on to the next phase of the program. And I found that the incremental style worked very, very well for a lot of the students that we had. The third point here is the principles of readiness. Every student kind of brings kind of like a clean blackboard to class, and it's up to you and I to kind of write down what they need to know on it. Chances are students won't learn until they're ready to learn. I've had many students in my experience that looked like they had the ability, but they just were not ready to do what it took to get to learn the information that they needed to learn. Now, there's all kinds of things that can make that happen. Their life experiences, seeing some application in they're going to what they're trying to learn, knowing that they're making some kind of progress through the program, and certainly repetition helps, and there's all of that built into our programs. Adult learners do have some life experiences that they bring to the table. Sometimes those are good, sometimes those aren't so good. Uh, Especially if they learned how to do something one way and it might have been the wrong way, and you and I are trying to change those kinds of behaviors and thoughts, and it's a difficult thing to do. A lot of high school students tell me that they don't see a lot of application there in high school for what they're supposed to be learning. They just don't see how it kind of relates to them in the world around them, and yet when they come to us, they see, oh, this is why I need to know math, or this is why I needed to know how to write a memo or something like that. And so they see the end result right there. Throughout our courses of studies, students are able to see that they're making progress through all of our grading systems and all of that. I know I can't do it anymore, but I remember when I did teach drafting, I had this very long laminated progress chart that I had drawn and laminated by the Acadia Parish School Board, and it fit up about half of a wall. It had all of my lessons, all of my projects that they had to do, and the first day of class I printed those students' names on that progress chart and would go in. As soon as I would grade a drawing or grade a test, I'd put a green color in the block to show that they were doing that, or else had passed that particular part of the program. And they could keep track of it, their peers could keep track of it, and it certainly helped me to keep track of where they were in the course. Now obviously we can't do that now, but you can do very similar thing with Excel, just for you. And repetition, doing this over and over and over again until it becomes second nature to them. We see the principle of effect dealing with the primacy, intensity, and recency of learning. It just deals with the effect that you and I set up in our classroom environment to try to get our students to learn. I know now my classrooms are a little bit more laid back, I guess, to use that term, because of the nature of what it is that I do, teaching developmental education and also a lot of computer applications programs. I expect my students to get their work done, but in my drafting classes, the environment was strictly business. You were expected to get some things done every day. Students knew what they had to do, and the intensity level was a whole lot higher than it was before. And also, depending on how recent the learning is, will certainly affect our students. Certainly, if they're trying to remember something that they learned way back in the beginning that they might not have used since then, it may take them a while to get their knowledge back up to speed. But we want to try to keep them updated all the time and make them pull that information up to the front so that they don't forget it. There are basically three levels of of learning. First of all, general knowledge. General knowledge is pretty much the knowledge that you and I need to exist. Some of this may be formal, some of this like what we learn in school, some informal by the experiences that we gain throughout life. But there are some things that everybody needs to know. Then there's working knowledge. The knowledge that we need to be able to know in order to do our jobs. It's a little bit higher level of knowledge because maybe some of our areas are a little bit technical in nature. There are some things in the teaching profession that you probably haven't seen or heard of from your particular background, and so you are in the process through this occupational associate degree to be able to learn some things about how to teach, how people learn, how to succeed in this particular career that you're in. And so it's going to require that you learn some new things, get a working knowledge of this profession. And level 3 is a qualified knowledge. I don't know if any teacher ever gets to the point that they know everything there is to know. But one thing I think that we can all reach is to the point that we can kind of make some sense of what it is we do. To be confident in the knowledge that what we have to offer our students is good, that we can teach a lesson without having our hands start to sweat or else our knees start to knock, and be able to do some things to make some steps forward as a professional. And these things don't come easily. It's only through our experiences day by day and learning from our mistakes and moving forward is how we can get to the point that we're qualified in our knowledge that we can get the job done. So I see my time is rapidly running out for this particular little lecture, so I'm going to go ahead and end this right here, and I should have maybe 2 more lessons or slides in the PowerPoint to kind of go over, and so I think that's going to work out just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and end it right now and pick up with the other 2 in the third and final lecture.